In today's video, I'm going to talk about the ego, our egos, and how they are dangerous. We all have an ego. People can say that they don't have one, that they're working on getting rid of it, but somewhere along those lines, you have an ego. And when I was at the end of my use, my ego was huge. So huge that I had a planned suicide for, it would have taken place in 2 days. But 2 days prior to my planned suicide, I had a bunch of stuff happen to me that put me in front of a detective. I was able to, he allowed me to go away, which pretty much meant I went to Community Medical Center in Toms River, detoxed, and then I went to Salvation Army. Well, actually, went to Community Medical Center, then I went to short-term care in Shoreline, which is the St. Barnabas Hospital on Route 9 in Toms River. And then from there, I went to Salvation Army Manhattan, which is a free treatment center / homeless shelter. You work for them, they give you treatment. But my ego was so big that I was willing to die. I was willing to kill myself before asking for help. I was at a point where I believed I was better off away, and I didn't want people to have to work on me. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought it was better for me to just go. Okay, I truly believed that people would be better off without me around because I was such a menace to everyone that was in contact with me. But the thing with the ego is you have the voice in your head. I talk about it all the time. The voice that drives you to do certain things. And it's most prevalent for most people when they're going through withdrawal because they know they have to do the right thing. They know they have to go through the withdrawal, but that voice in their head is telling them, you know, this can all end right now. If you just go get a pill or you go get a bag, it'll all end. You don't have to keep doing this. How long is life really? What's it matter? You might be dead tomorrow. You might as well enjoy yourself while you're here. These are the type of things that that voice in your head is going to tell you, and that's your ego talking, okay? And when I started reading self-help books, I read Eckhart Tolle, Don Miguel Ruiz, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who passed away in August, sad, Catherine Ingram, a bunch of writers. They're all talking about the ego in some sense at some point in their books. And that voice in your head and how you can create stillness in yourself if you shut that voice out. And believe me, that is one of the hardest things on the planet to do, is to not listen to that voice. Because there's a lot of people that believe that that voice isn't actually you. It's not your soul. Like some people think it's your conscience talking to you. A lot of people don't believe that's what it is. They believe that it's a... I don't know how to say this without... They think it's a bad voice. And that, yes, at some point it might say some good things, but for the most part, it's telling you to do what it wants you to do so you can prosper or feel good at any cost. Okay, so when it comes to your ego, you really have to take a good hard look at yourself and understand that there is nothing special about you. When you come to that realization, and I did when I was in Salvation Army, there's nothing special about you. You're a breathing creature. Okay, you might have attributes that can help you progress, but for the most part, there's nothing that's special. You can't jump off a building in Manhattan and fly away. Okay, you're not superhuman. So when you stop looking at yourself as a way to judge yourself, if you just get rid of all judgment and just say, you know what, I breathe, I eat, I shit, I sleep, I love, I hate. That's what I am. And you don't go too far in depth with, I'm a good basketball player, or I'm really good at the guitar, or I'm really bad at math. If you let go of all that shit and just live your life in the present moment and stop judging everything that you do, you're going to find peace along the lines. And that's something that is huge for people in recovery. Because most of us, we judge... We're our harshest critics. There's no doubt about it. I'm my harshest critic, and I work on it all the time. But, you know, I tear myself to pieces all the time. All right, I have people that comment on YouTube and they try to trash me. It's nothing compared to what I think of myself sometimes. But for the most part, it's much better than it was back then. Because back when I was really hurting, when I was aching and, you know, was on the verge of committing suicide, I hated myself. Hated. I mean, I wanted myself to be gone. And when you get to that point where you're hurting so bad and you feel like you're such an anchor on everyone else and you're weighing everybody down and nothing good comes from you, that is a very, very sick way of living. So when you get another shot like I did and you start looking at, you know, would life really be better without me? And you start questioning, how bad do I really have it? How bad are things? And you start to go through each day and you're doing the right thing each day and you see that, you know what I thought was so terrible is really not as bad as I thought it was. All right, it's bad, but it's not as bad as I made it out to be in my own head. It's not as bad as that voice made it seem when it was telling me that this is the end. You're the worst. Everybody hates you. Everyone's gonna hate you when they find out what you did, you know? When you let that voice take over and judge you constantly, you're going to hurt yourself. Maybe not physically, but emotionally, you're going to destroy yourself. And one of the things that, you know, I read, and it stuck with me for 7+ years, is that human beings are the only creatures on this planet that beat themselves up over and over and over again for something they did in the past. A dolphin, who is brilliant in the animal world, does not think about what they did last July when they missed that fish around the corner and let another dolphin get it. They don't beat themselves up. They don't even think about that stuff. We constantly, in the present moment, beat ourselves up for stuff that we did back then that we can't change. There's no point in putting all of your emphasis and your thought and power that you have in this moment on stuff that happened back then. It's okay to learn from those things. It's okay to look back on things and say, you know what? Okay, that was wrong. I could do this better. Especially when it comes to like work or, you know, family and the way you react to certain situations. It's okay to look at it and learn from it. But to dwell and to constantly think about things that you screwed up and hurting yourself now for something back then is just crazy. And we all do it. But we're the only creatures that do that. We constantly beat ourselves for things in the past. And if you can, you know, I was mainly going to talk about the ego, but it always goes back to the present moment thing. If you could live in the present moment at all times, if you could try to think of only what's going on right now and work on what you're doing in this moment and not think too far into the future, setting goals is fine, but thinking, you know, a year from now I'm going to have this gorgeous car, or if I work hard enough I'll have this degree, and so on and so forth. Just think about, yeah, okay, if I do these goals and I follow what I'm supposed to be doing, I'll attain this goal in the future. But don't constantly live in the future. Don't constantly think, for instance, you have bills that are due on November 21st, okay? And you don't know how the hell you're going to pay them. So you're thinking about it constantly, every day. How am I going to pay them? How am I going to pay them? I got 3 jobs coming up. I can work those jobs, and maybe I'll get a mason job on the side, and I'll make some extra scratch so I can put towards that bill. And you beat yourself up and beat yourself up every single day. You're hurting yourself right now. And then something happens, okay? You're on one of your jobs and somebody tips you an extra $100. And you're like, damn, $100, that pays that bill that I'm worried about. And all of that time you wasted thinking about the future and worrying was gone like that. Okay? Because it's not even there yet. Shit, you might be dead by the time you get to that bill. It's very easy to get caught up in the past and the future when you should really just be concentrating right now. And I know that sounds like, oh, hokey pokey type of thinking, but when you really break it down, it makes sense. That's all I want to talk about today. I didn't feel like talking about normal, emails or questions that come in. This is the type of thinking that I have, and what helps me. I mean, this might sound like complete gibberish to most of you, and that's okay. But some of you might understand where I'm going with this kind of thinking. This type of thinking is what saved my life. Because I used to worry about what everybody thought of me. I used to worry about, being the smartest guy in the room, not being the dumbest guy in the room, more importantly. How I spoke in front of people. Like, I really cared about what people thought. A lot. I mean, that was what drove me. And when you live like that, it's sick. Because when it comes down to it, you have your family. Okay, you have your kids. There's nothing on this planet I love more than my wife and kids. Okay? Besides that, the sad reality of life is that you come into life by yourself and you leave by yourself. You have people that are your friends, that care for you, so on and so forth. But how often has it been where you needed somebody that was your friend, they weren't there? They were taking care of themselves. People will always take care of themselves first. Okay? If they don't, it doesn't make sense. But always keep that in mind. Alright? Don't try to give people too much power around you when the only power you need is in yourself. Okay? And the other thing is the present moment. I mean, I used to live in the past so deeply that I was not progressing in life. I just kept thinking about all my achievements I had in the past. And I'd live off of them. And it was the stories I would tell everybody. And it was like, people would be like, yeah, it's great. You did that back then. That's cool. Bravo. Yeah, awesome. What are you doing now, dude? You're a fucking mess right now. Who cares what you did in the past? That's very noble shit you did. Congrats. But you need to move the fuck on and live your life now. And I couldn't do that. I was so stuck in what I used to do that when I was presented with, oh, you have to work for more stuff now? I had this life built for me, and now I have to work for more? I don't want to. And I was lazy. I wanted shit handed to me. And I found comfort in drugs. So, live in the present moment. Don't let your ego run wild. Take a look at yourself in the mirror. Be happy with what you see. Be happy with the way you act. And love yourself. That's the biggest thing you can do, is love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anything. You're going to be a miserable, miserable person. Alright? Questions and comments below. I know it's a total wacky video, but I wanted to talk about it. I was thinking about it this morning. And I was reading some of my old stuff. So I felt like bringing it up. Alright? Questions and comments below. Leave some advice below. If you know what the hell I'm talking about, comment below. Otherwise, check out some more videos, and I'll be back to doing emails tomorrow. Alright? Have a good one.